records, we paid over $1 million in bed tax in the last 6 years, and property tax. So we're up to date. And in addition, we also helped you guys collect the bed tax from the previous owner who owed you $100,000 when we bought the property. So side note, but I would also recommend the staff add a table for the residential units, and that information be maintained and used from the readily available data from the water district and the permits from building, as was suggested. I concur with everybody that has been up here about freezing the vacation home rentals and the single unit rentals at the current levels and allow any excess inventory to be allocated to the ends. I believe that the homes need to return to families, and that will help consolidate visitor traffic and drive needed business to the ends in the bed and breakfast who are struggling to survive. Inns will provide a higher return to the county and the community. Inns typically run a higher occupancy, and they're 100% focused on renting rooms. And I think anybody who doesn't believe they're empty homes in Mendocino should come next week and go trick-or-treating. You'll experience a lot of black houses. So then the fourth thing was using the ratio established by the Certified Town Plan of 1992 of the 52 to 48% ratio. I believe that is the baseline that was established that really allows for future updates, assuming that any new development still passes all of the required zoning, such as the Environmental, Water Board, Planning Commission, and so forth. Do I still have time? This thing's beeping. Sure. Okay. It's just flashing.
You folks can come a long way over here.
Sure.
I'm gonna be pretty liberal on the time frame.
Okay. So the fifth thing I want to say is from the simple cleanup of the tables and establishing an update process, the county stands to generate significant revenue and economic value. And I think there's four really important things that are driven from getting this process in order. The first one is increased permit revenue. Right now, you don't have anybody that wants to come through this process because they all know that until you update the language and clarify the data, no one will come and do this. And we're the only ones that have been stupid enough to give you $24,000 over the last 6 years to try to push this process forward. But if you fix it, I assure you that there'll be 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people behind me ready to give you $8,000 to get their units legalized. The increased bed tax and bid tax, I talked about this when I was here last time, but I think that that's a real, there's some real numbers there for the county. If you assume an average daily rate of $250 at 70% occupancy, every room that's legally added to this inventory would generate an additional close to $100,000, which is $10,000 to the county, $1,000 for the marketer. And so if you added 20 rooms, what does that mean? That's $1.8 million into the county in terms of revenue, and another $200K in bed tax, which I think the county desperately needs. The third thing is jobs. I believe that as we add these rooms and clean this up, that those rooms will actually create economic vitality for the community. There's 5,400 people in this county that depend on hospitality for their living. And Mendocino, despite the fact they're adding rooms into Fort Bragg, will still be the premier destination in Mendocino. And every room that's added means jobs. We employ 100 people at the McCallum House, and I can tell you that filling up rooms and rooms equals jobs. And then I think sustainability is the last thing. I mean, everybody is talking about green and how to be green, and what do we do to save the earth. And tourism is a clean industry. It's a sustainable industry. It's the highest calling of the Coastal Act. And, it's really with the decline of the other industries we've seen fishing and lumber become a less of a viable way to make a living. Tourism is one of the few ways we can still make a living in this county. So in closing, I urge you to act decisively today by voting to append and update the visitor serving tables with the latest data, whatever that data might be, and clarify the overall update and review process. In these tough economic times, we can't afford to wait any longer. Putting this in the hands of a CAC, in my opinion, would actually be a disaster, just as it was in 1999. You can see how emotional everybody in this room gets about this topic. You have some people here that are unemotional about it, are looking at the data, and I think can actually get better results than a whole bunch of people arguing in a room. And I believe the suggestions would pass the muster of the California Coastal Commission as a legitimate review and update. Obviously, that needs to be validated by County Council, but your swift actions will give the good people of Mendocino a town plan that is fluid and reflecting of a vibrant and changing community instead of this mythical state that's frozen in time for the last 2 decades. So I thank you for the opportunity to get up here, and I hope for the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Jed. No, we have, you can get an order, but we're going to have the people with them. Monty Reed is the next up.
Monty Reed from Mendocino, been a resident since 1970. Occupancy on the ends, I just wanted to clarify that it depends on the owner's ability to manage their properties. We used to have a restaurant called the Seagull in Mendocino. It was the most popular restaurant. People came from far and wide, but over a period of time, change of ownerships and management, it went from a success to a failure. Now we have a new, apparently the Heritage House, which is the most successful operation going in the